You are tuned in to Wine and Wisdom, where mothers and wives dive deep, share stories, and uncork life's most meaningful conversations.
Darling, can you pass the wine, please?
Every Wednesday, we're bringing you real talk, real scenarios, and the real reality of womanhood.
I love you, girl. Enjoy the show.
This episode of Wine and Wisdom is brought to you by Chautauqua Vineyards and Winery in Defuniak Springs, Florida, home of the annual Spring Fling Wine Festival and the beautiful return of their limited edition wine, Luna Breeze, a special blend of their estate-grown Carlos and Noble muscadines with light notes of passion fruit and citrus. This is the wine of spring, y'all. I want to personally thank the winery for giving me a heads up on the release, and of course, a big thank you to my Mimi for securing the goods for me, okay? A case for me before the festival. I'm proud to share that your girl is now officially a member of the Old Fine Wine Club. Yeah. Which means I get first dibs on every future release that comes out on any wine, including my Luna Breeze, okay? Because you know I need that. So cheers to that. But let's talk, sis, okay? You know, May is coming up, and if you don't know, May is Mental Health Awareness Month. But this is something we should be checking in on every day, okay? Not just in May. According to the World Health Organization, mental health is a state of mental well-being that enables people to cope with the stresses of life, realize their abilities, learn and work well, and contribute to their community. Okay, but also listen to this. Over 1 in 5 U.S. adults live with a mental illness every year. And that's coming from NAMI 2023. That's more than 57 million people. 1 in 5. And yet, we still treat mental health like it's an option. And you can't say I'm lying, because in work environments, there's no mental health leave. There's no mental health days. When you go to put into PTO, you can't sit here and say, oh, yeah, I need mental health. Like, they don't care. And which I get it. Business is business. But America, we're not really good at putting our, our mental health first. We ain't good at that. And yet we still treat, we're walking around here treating it as if it's optional, like it's invisible, until it starts showing up in your everyday life. Listen here. Keep putting your mental health off if you want to. You be sitting in your house looking crazy. So let's talk about what it looks like. Good mental health might look like, setting healthy boundaries without guilt, sleeping well, or even sleeping in occasionally without guilt, finding joy in small things, asking for help when you need it without feeling like a burden. These are things that look like good mental health. Now, the other side of that, poor mental health, what can that look like? Insomnia. Yeah, insomnia, you can't sleep. You walking around here vampiring. Brain fog, disconnection from your partner, your kids, your joy, the things that you used to enjoy, your hobbies that you couldn't go a day without doing. Now it's been weeks since you touched them or picked them up. Yes, poor mental health. The truth is, it always starts inside of us before the dishes start piling up, before the hair doesn't get brushed, before, you're up at 2 a.m. running off of maybe 15, 30 minutes of sleep. Like, that's why we need to be educated. We really do. We need to be educated on anxiety, depression, especially postpartum depression. So many of us, or so many women, there's various reasons as to why a woman may not want to choose to reproduce anymore. Whatever reason she has is her business. It don't matter what reason she give you. It's her business. But I will speak for myself. The main contributing factor as to why sometimes I'm hesitant to have another baby It's not because I don't want to deal with kids. I love my children. I love my children. I don't think them being around me, what is that? Them being with me every day, what is that? Like, I mean, every mama has a point where you need a break. Like, look, I've been with them all day. Just give me a couple minutes, but they don't bother me. We'll just leave it there. We don't bother me. I don't want to open up a can of worms. But I wasn't educated properly on postpartum depression. And it if somebody would have told me, or at least sat me down and said, "Hey, you just had a baby. Let us educate you properly on this," it would have made a world of a difference. Because after I had Kylie, my OBGYN gave me a little brochure that said something like, "Are you depressed?" or something like that. And it gave a short clinical definition, a couple of symptoms, and a number to call if, I ever felt like I was going to kill myself, or that I felt like a burden to my loved ones. And it gave me a number to call and said, talk to your doctor if you ever feel this way or if it gets to this point. And that was it. That was it. The same way people gave me books, gave me supplements, and a choir of options about how to breastfeed opposed to formula feed, y'all, they were on me, like berating me about how nursing nursing your child is more beneficial. If you want, like, it was almost as if you want to be a good mom, you need to breastfeed, and if you formula feed, you're not a good mom. That's how my nurses and doctors made me feel when I had Kylie. This is just my personal experience, but I'm telling you, my husband was there. I'm telling you. But the same way that you were so quick to educate me about breastfeeding and how these statistics say this about formula over nursing, and um you know where was that energy, at the 4-week check-in, when you're going down your list of questions? Why aren't you asking the mama questions about her? Like, I get it, the baby is the main concern. However, I mm, they got here some way. Somebody has to be here to take care of them. And as a doctor, as my OBGYN, as my um you know person that's supposed to be helping me get this baby here and whatever else, I just felt, why aren't we educated on postpartum depression when it's coming? By the 6-week mark, I was like in thick of postpartum depression, and I had no idea what was happening to me. I thought I was just tired. I thought I was crazy. I thought, Jamie, this is why your parents said you need to focus on school, because you can't work, go to school, raise a child, run a house, and do all this at the same time, and you still aren't finished with college. I had Kylie in 2019. And so I'm just thinking, like, you just bit off more than you could chew. It wasn't until years later, after I had King, that I started to connect the dots through stories of other women in my village, my mom, my aunties. That's when I realized this isn't just me. Like, it's real. It ain't just like, it's not just me saying, "Oh, me, I'm just tired." No, like, this is real. It was real. And that's when I went back to my doctor and I was like, "Look, you gave me that piece of paper. Shawty, you gave me that piece of paper, but you ain't say nothing about, yeah. So, what do I need to do?" And let me say this, asking for help doesn't always mean medication, because I was hesitant to go to the doctor. And it took my mother telling me, just because you go doesn't mean that she gonna put you on a medicine. Just go and tell her, like, da 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 da. And she'll, you know, and I'm always straightforward with my doctors, like, medication for anything, last option for me. Give me exercises, give me food, diet, give me that first, and then try to put me on medications. And all of my doctors that I have worked with during these periods of my life were amazing about that. And but back to that, asking for help doesn't always mean medication. And even if it does, it doesn't mean that you're going to be on the medication forever. There are faith-based holistic doctors out there who believe in healing the body and the mind together. So it doesn't have to be either or. It can be both. And, you just got to find the doctor that is for you. But let's talk about us for a second. Moms, wives, working women, how do we protect our peace in a world that's constantly trying to pull it apart? How do we do that? Well, research shows that supportive environments is all about your environment. Ding, ding, ding. Both at home and work can drastically reduce mental health struggles. According to the CDC, workplaces that promote mental well being see a 25% increase in productivity and morale. The same is true at home. I just feel like that should be common sense across the board. Like, if you provide the right environment, if you provide a peaceful, thriving, nurturing, positive environment, you have no choice but to receive the fruits of that. If you are a boss, or if you are a business owner and you're running your business and you're wondering why, your staff isn't doing this, or why don't, they want to be here, and it's always, maybe it's not them, maybe it's the work environment that you have them in. Because as business owners, we have to be conscious of that too. We're demanding and asking people to show up for work. Yes, we're paying them. But in today's time, we all know someone with a good work ethic and the will to work and the will to serve is hard to find. So we have to take care of these people that are willing to show up for us, that are willing to clock in and willing to deal with us and willing to deal with everything we have going on and help us achieve our goal. So if we are expecting as business owners for people to show up for us, to come and clock in for us, we need to be providing environments that allow for them to healthily sit in the building, peacefully, attentive, comfortable but professional in the building. And this goes for at home too. It's just like a garden. You can't just go out there, throw seeds down and just expect things to grow. Like, no, you have to test the soil. You got to prepare the soil. You got to till. You got to get the weeds. You got to put a weed barrier down. You got to pick your plants. You got to plant it. You got to water it. You got to nurture it before it grows. And, I'm talking to myself right now, but, we have to cultivate these environments. But ask yourself, do I feel emotionally safe in my own home? For me, absolutely. That's why I don't like leaving. Do I have time to breathe between everyone else's needs? Depending on the day, this fluctuates. And this is where I'm learning to be disciplined. And it's not so much of Jamie's being mean. It's no, Jamie has to set a boundary because Jamie's been putting herself on the back burner and it's negatively affecting Jamie. So balance. Yeah. And then am I showing up for me too? That is the biggest thing. Let me tell you something. How can you show up for them properly if you haven't shown up for yourself and taken care of you first? You're giving people crumbs, but eventually the crumbs are going to run out. So then what are you going to eat off of? Okay. Creating a healthy environment isn't about buying new furniture. It's about checking in with yourself. It's about saying no without a full explanation, because we all say it with me. No is the explanation. Yeah. Period. It's about journaling when you can't pray. It's about letting go of shame and embracing peace. Some days mental health looks like a bath. Other days it's, maybe it's looking at your husband just being like, Bookie, I'm not okay. And just letting him hold you in that, But let me speak to your spirit for a second, okay? So this week's verse, we're working with Psalm 34:18. And it says, the Lord is near to the brokenhearted and saves the crushed in spirit. Ooh, y'all. So if you're brokenhearted, and this ain't got to have nothing to do with no man, look, life itself will break your heart. So if if life whooping you and you look, this for us, okay? If your spirit is heavy, if your joy feels like it left the building months ago, you are not alone. God does not retreat when you're struggling, he draws you closer. I'm learning this. Yeah, I'm learning this. This isn't a punishment. It's an invitation to lean in. You don't have to be okay to be held by him. I think, this is just my opinion, I think based off of when it says God wants to draw you, he wants to draw us closer. My perspective on that is I think he puts us in situations that force us to the decision of who am I going to take this to? Because, okay, for me, when something happens or if I need help, it's like, okay, who do I go to? Do I go to my husband? Do I go to my dad? Do I go to my mom? Do I go to my Mimi? Like, who am I going to take this to? And it's the same thing here. Like, there's some situations that we have that we can't take to somebody for them to fix or take to somebody for advice. You have, like, some things, and I'm speaking from experience, some things you just have no choice but to take to God. And I think he puts us in these situations to see if we will invite him in. Because once he draws us closer, the peace that he unveils through your obedience of going to him, inviting him in, giving him an opportunity to fix it, acknowledging that he has the ability to fix it, going like, it's not punishment. You're still worthy. You're still valuable. You're still seen. He sees you. I'm learning that he sees me. He sees everything that I'm doing. He sees absolutely everything. And he has confirmed it. So sis, take care of you. Prioritize you. Your mind, your heart, your soul, your family, your kids. They matter too. Don't be afraid to ask for help, even if the help you need isn't visible to the outside world yet. If this episode resonated with you, please like, share, or subscribe to the Wine and Wisdom YouTube channel. That is how we grow. One subscribe, one share is like handing me $1 million over a check over here. You know, somebody hand you cash and check, look cap at it and check. Yes, those subscribes and shares are like $1 million to me. So don't think your support doesn't mean nothing, because it is everything to us. And listen, Wine and Wisdom is growing. Okay? I have a surprise. Wine and Wisdom is growing. She's becoming something bigger, something richer, something that smells, I don't know, legacy-ish. The Wine and Wisdom Network is slowly unfolding, but who knows, you know? Who knows? Be on the lookout this week for a special project premiering soon. And to the ones who judge me, and the ones who love me, all y'all. But the ones who think this is just a new social media thing I'm doing, I have an invitation. I invite you into a glimpse of my life. Not just the woman I am today, but the girl I was, the family I come from, the muscadines, the land, the dirt. Wine and Wisdom isn't a trend. It's in me. It's always been in me. And trust me, she ain't going nowhere. Holla.